Where is foreign interference? Is it in our NGOs? Yes. Is it in our boardrooms? Yes. Is it in our community associations? Yes. Should we wake up? Yes.
Elizabeth May did nothing.
What do you mean she did nothing? Can you clarify what that means? Sorry, what do you mean by that?
The names aren't in the report. They're in the thousands of documents. No, they're not. They're in the thousands of documents.
Every leader should read the details of the document. I don't see why, one, Pierre Poilievre refuses to see the documents, and Justin Trudeau has done nothing with the information.
We're bringing back the front bench to talk about what you just heard. Caroline Verine, Gary Mark, Carl Belanger, and Marika Walsh. Part of what we just heard, Marika, was you going up to the Hill and asking everybody what they think about this. What do you walk away, what's your impression walking away with the seriousness with which this is being taken?
Well, I think David McGuinty went to great lengths to try and impress upon people today how serious it is. We're kind of sandwiched between Liz May's press conference and the one from Jagmeet Singh that we're expecting tomorrow, in which case he is also expected to give his take, his analysis, his interpretation of the classified version of the report. I find that odd because that means the government has sort of ceded the framing and the explanation of this to the opposition leaders and not doing so itself. On the flip side, I think all the other party leaders getting this briefing makes it more challenging for Pierre Poilievre not to. And it's a bit confusing to know or to even have a sense of where this goes because the government has not presented any sort of action plan, has sort of said, we'll leave this all to the commissioner, which is only presenting a report in December. And so the expectation seems to be that we all just sit down and wait.
Gary, what do you think about that? Do you think the prospect of that happening the prospects for that happening, I should say, are high?
Well, I think they are trying to slow roll, taking any action on this, hoping that it will disappear. It wouldn't surprise me to see them come up with a press release on the 24th of December when everybody's tucking into dinner. Look, I think that the challenge is very difficult for the Liberal Party in this particular case, is for the government, what to do. The release of the report and further action being taken on it may already have had, sort of further distrust in government. And on the other hand, if they don't do anything with it, that's also a significant problem for them because naming and shaming, as Minister LeBlanc refers to it, may not be the thing you want to do, but you do want to have accountability. Canadians should know what has been done by their parliamentarians. They should have trust. This should be a nonpartisan issue. Every party should be interested in knowing what kind of activities their members are up to and deal with them accordingly. And so it's a very challenging circumstance for the government to be in. I think they're trying to just, as we discussed, a year ago, they thought that this would just go away, and it hasn't gone away. It continues to pressure them.
It's just weird also, Carlene, that our first sort of window into what actually is happening comes from Liz May. Then tomorrow it will be added to by Jagmeet Singh. It's all very, they're openly talking about how they're going in a secret elevator and reading things in a secret room. This is not really how I would have expected a national security issue to play out.
Marika alluded to this, that the Liberals are sort of ceding control of the dialogue around this to a variety of players in Parliament. I actually think that's the right move. And let's not forget, the reason that this NSI COP report came out in the first place is because the government asked this committee, this multi-partisan committee of parliamentarians, to look at this issue. And it's a committee that they created that did not exist before Justin Trudeau and the Liberals came to power. So they knew exactly what they were doing in terms of that eye to creating a bit more transparency within Parliament around issues of democratic integrity and interference. I think that what the effect is going to be is that it is going to depoliticize the conversation, and that's very important. With respect to action, I think the most important action that can be taken right now is getting Bill C-70 passed. The fact that it's happening as we're reading these allegations in the report is interesting, but you heard multiple experts, including Richard Fadden, the former CSIS director, talk about that a lot of the measures that are in C-70 are actually going to address some of these things that the committee raised. I think it's also to the point made earlier, just becoming increasingly untenable for one party leader only to abdicate his responsibility and choose to sort of put politics ahead of everything and not receive the briefing when everybody else has sort of done that.
Two things to pick up on there. Get your thoughts, Carl, on that, which I think everyone can see. Like the pressure, it's hard to explain now. If you thought that you were handcuffed by getting this briefing when everyone else is able to hold press conferences, why that is the case. But to the point that Carlene's making about this is all the government's doing, that yes, they asked for it. They also very clearly, once the report came out a year later, were like, we don't agree with any of the conclusions reached, which
Right.
were all condemning the government's lack of action on the file.
That's right. And so, I think, as part of the inside baseball that's happening here, a lot of people are like, why is Poilievre not doing the right thing? And, but I think if you get out of the political circles, what Canadians are seeing is the government has something to hide. The government has something to hide. They've had something to hide for quite some time. And it's not because Elizabeth May read the report that says everybody's clean that suddenly we can move on. It's not going to happen that way. So the government has a bigger problem than Pierre Poilievre, but it kind of dilutes the Conservatives' attack, though, the fact that he won't do what Elizabeth May did, what Jagmeet Singh will do. I'm not sure what the Bloc leader will do, but frankly, I think
He got the clearance now,
well,
so maybe,
he finally got it. Okay, so finally he's going to be isolated, Pierre Poilievre, on this file. But it's not the main narrative, though. The main narrative remains the government has something to hide.
Interestingly, though, it's not Pierre Poilievre leading the questions on this. I think I can think of only one question in the House of Commons he's asked. It's other delegates in the party who are bringing it up frequently.
Yeah, and not even that frequently, to be honest. And clearly, the party has tried to get them to put a lid on it. No MP would answer our questions today about what they thought of the report, what they thought of their leader not getting the briefing. I was standing outside of West Block and they sent a comm staffer to come monitor my questions. So they're clearly very sensitive to this and very alive to the issue. I think more broadly, though, the bill will pass tomorrow. The issue for the government is that CSIS is the one that is discounting what it's saying right now. The government's message is wait for the prosecutions and the police investigations. CSIS says,
The
no,
parties can all do
not
something.
wait for
Yeah.
those because they will not happen. It is very challenging to do. And CSIS is saying the parties should get briefed and act, and CSIS is saying they can act. And so when you're being sort of rebutted by the head of CSIS, it's a bit harder to hold your line, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true. Okay, I got to leave it there. Thanks so much to the front bench. Appreciate it. Carlene Verheyen, Gary Marr, Carl Belanger, and Marika Walsh. Your takeaway is next.